Hey, you guys, welcome to another interview. This is not like my normal interview. Today, we had the opportunity to interview a young lady who has cerebral palsy, and she is a comedian. So, let's talk to her and get to know her. And yeah, guys, let's get it. We're just waiting for her to come in. So, you do have cerebral palsy, right?
Yes, I do. Are we recording right now? Oh, we
Yeah,
are. Okay. hmm
I have cerebral palsy too. So,
hmm
and you came to America when you were 6 years old.
Yeah, 6 years old, almost seven. Yeah, back in 2002.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
why did your parents decide to move to the United States?
I was not allowed to go to like regular schools in Korea. Um, Schools and admin assumed that I would take too much work for teachers, and they
Mm-hmm.
also thought I was less mentally capable, even though there was nothing that proved that. In fact, I took like an aptitude, like I don't know what kind of test it was. I'm not sure if it was an IQ test. I just remember like being told to tell adults what some blobs look like, um, repeatedly, and they said I was highly creative and very intelligent. And I remember one of my mom's friends who also has a disabled daughter
Mm-hmm.
was she was like visibly more able-bodied than I am, but still disabled. And the mom said, "There's no way she can't be smarter than my kid." It was very, I don't know. It's something that I still remember, and it says a lot because I haven't been in, like that was when I was like 4 years old, and it's one of the few memories I have back when I was in Korea before I moved here. So those things stay with you.
Actually, I know what kind of test that you're talking about. 'Cause I had to take it too in Korea.
What is it?
I forgot the name of it, but it it sounds the same thing that I had to do. It's like tell somebody about what kind of blob it is. They would show you a picture, blah, blah, that kind of stuff.
Do you know what it was for?
Uh, it was they wanted to see if I could comprehend what was on the paper in my mind
Mm-hmm.
to see if I'm all there.
Okay.
So yeah, but, but yeah, that must have been hard for you to leave everything in Korea and come here.
Well, for me, I was like too young to like really comprehend what was going on at the time. And at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
it was my parents' responsibilities to take all of our stuff and our lives and bring it here. I think it was harder especially for my mom to really come into terms because, especially her side of the family, my dad's side of the family is a little bit more I don't know, broken up in a way, or they're more to themselves. But my mom's side of the family are like the Kardashians. And so, my mom was really having a hard time coming to terms. I remember another core memory that I have that I've not forgotten was my mom thought I was asleep, but
Mm-hmm.
I like heard her crying and drunk in the kitchen floor
Mm-hmm.
after after it was that day or like the day before or something like that. My parents gave the school that they approved me for a try, in which they only taught me the Korean alphabet, and there was like we had a few sessions of that, and it was clear that I was way beyond that. And especially because on my own at home, I already had like, my times table from 1 times 1 to 12 times 12 already memorized as a little child. And my dad actually trained me on touch typing without looking at the keyboard, both the English and Korean keyboard by the time I was 4. And so my parents were very well aware that I was more than capable of just the Korean alphabet. But when my mom realized that really we have to do this, that we have to leave everything behind, leave all of our families behind, all for me to have an education, she didn't take it very well, and me hearing her sob on the kitchen floor was just really heartbreaking, and it's something that I will never forget. And I don't think she knows. I know that.
Thank you for sharing that story. That's that's the point. So when you got into the United States, you did not speak any English, right?
Well, not really. I was taught by Sesame Street, and my parents did put me in English classes for a few months, maybe half a year, maybe less, before coming here. But I was flying through books. Of course, they wanted me to speed run through everything, but I was in a classroom full of 13-year-olds at the age of 5 or 6. And I was doing perfectly fine and learning everything. And so by the time I got here, I at least knew how to advocate for myself in the sense that like I could ask to go to the restroom and things like that. But I was actively failing everything for the first like year and a half, except for math actually, because math is the same everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know very much English at all, to the point where I remember in 2nd grade there was an assignment that I basically came into, and you were supposed to put periods and commas in the right places, and I had no idea, and I got in trouble for just putting it random places, thinking that the teacher thought I was like messing around, and I got like timeout at recess for it. It was really weird.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think that would happen today, but this was 2001, 2002,
Yeah, man. So when you got into school in America, how was that? Like, what was the dynamics in the classroom like for you?
When I got into school in America, it was pretty okay. I came in a wheelchair, and I came into 1st grade. I came in around like April of 1st grade, so it was the end of the year, and they were kind of considering holding me back because I just got here. But like my teachers saw how fast I was learning and how I was absorbing everything, and so they kind of let me pass and see what would happen. And if I needed to be held back later on, then I would be. But it was great. I came in a wheelchair, and like my classmates were really friendly, and they wanted to help me. They wanted to push me around. A little roughhousing, I have to admit, thinking back on it, like they wanted to push me as fast as possible and roll me down the ramp, things like that. Like, but we had a good time. And it was great because like even when I was learning English in Korea, I was bullied a lot. I had like pencils and erasers thrown at me. I had kids who would push. There would be like desks into rows, but after class, like a kid pushed all the surrounding desks away from me while I was waiting for my mom, and they knew I couldn't move if I didn't have anything. And so basically they isolated me in that classroom until my mom came, and I was just like, my mom found me just like crying in a classroom alone. But in America, I actually had a kid named Ryan, like this blonde hair, blue eyed kid, like have a huge crush on me, and he wanted to like hold my hand and stuff like that, which was crazy.
Ooh.
I never even thought that was even possible. I thought I was like the ugliest person alive and that no one would like me. And so having that difference in culture really changed my perspective and like my worth and value as a person, as a child even.
Hearing that, man, it's a whole different story for me. I came here in 85.
Mm-hmm.
I started kindergarten in 85. I didn't know any English, so they held me back 1 year in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, when you got in there, the kids were friendly to you. It was the whole opposite for me. I got bullied in class all the way until I would say the 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got into 4th grade, I finally met a friend that
Mm-hmm.
didn't see my disability as a disability. So
I think generations is different and different
yeah,
decades. It just things change.
oh
And
yeah,
also I think there's a, we'd like to say, and men and women should be treated equally, but they're obviously not.
yeah.
And so, there's a lot of differences there. I make a joke on stage that like actually I'm so glad to be a woman as a disabled person because societally, like the way that women are perceived, they're expected to need help, even if we don't need it.
Yeah.
And so with that, it plays really well in the sense that like I made a joke on stage. It was cold outside. It was the winter. Like I could say I'm cold and I have a jacket around me from another guy in 2 seconds. If I was a guy saying I'm cold and I need a jacket, they'll be like, "Man up!" They'll like punch me in the shoulder, you know.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So after school, did you get into regular classes or special ed classes? Also?
I was classified as special ed for a long time, but they didn't need to modify any of my classwork
Yeah.
until I got into 2009 and in freshman year of high school. They put me in a 504, which was like the more appropriate category. When you're in 504, you don't necessarily get any modified coursework. It's just that like maybe you'll be allowed to leave class 3 minutes early and like have preferential seating, a chair close to the door, be able to go to the bathroom without needing to ask, things like that.
Yeah.
So I was in special ed though. I was classified under it for a little while, but it didn't really affect anything as far as the outcome of what my education looked like.
So in school, did you have like a helper helping you?
I had friends. I kind of knew everyone. I kind of knew a lot of people in my classes, especially when I got to middle and high school. Well, my parents tried to put me in smaller charter schools as soon as they could, which helped a lot. I went to a small charter school for like a semester, and then we had to move, and I went to like a really normal middle school for the rest of the time. So the whole 2.5 years, basically, which was awful, actually. It was very cliquey, and that was when I was bullied in middle school by isolation. No one bullied me outright, but yeah. But I did have helpers, but especially in middle school, the way that school was, it was very classist. It was like a richer area, but I lived in an apartment, so there was like there was bullying in that sense, where it's like kids know where you live and will treat you as such. And so there was one kid I remember who was like, "I don't want to be your helper for the rest of my middle school." And I was like, "Okay." But I ended up having helpers just from by friends by proxy.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So after graduating high school, did you go to college or did you just decide to be a comedian?
Oh no, the comedy thing is just really recent. I've only done this for 10 months.
Oh, really?
Right. So college, I did go to college. I did really well in high school. One thing that stuck with me when I moved here from a young age is like I said, I remember my mom being just distraught
Yeah.
and torn apart on the floor. Like that memory has stuck with me, and so I knew the importance of me not messing up in school or doing anything bad. I knew the importance, like especially because I'm physically limited,
Mhm.
of having to do well academically. And so, with that in mind, I really bust my ass. I ended up graduating top 8% of my high school. And so that got me into the University of Houston, basically with a lot of scholarships. And I even advocated to live on campus. I've said this in other podcasts as well, and I'm so sorry to my mom, but I've lied to my mom and said that in order for me to keep my scholarship, I have to live on campus, which honestly ultimately ended up being a great thing. It taught me a lot about independence, and I
Oh,
really wanted to learn how to like cook for myself and stuff like that, in which my mom didn't let me do at home because she thought I would hurt
really?
myself. And so, because I advocated for myself and essentially lied, but I ended up, being in a better spot and training myself to be more self-sufficient.
Oh,
But I did major in math and minor in education, and I ended up being a high school math teacher.
ooh, wow. Okay, nice. So you think you recently went into comedy. So
Mhm.
what made you go into comedy?
So I thought I would be a teacher for the rest of my life as soon as I entered. I had a really big reason to or a passion for it, especially when living through my life. Of course, I came in legally. My parents, my dad, we came to America through my dad's work visa, but um, after 2001, after 9/11, it was way harder for him to keep our um, legal status because a lot of businesses didn't want to sponsor immigrant people, workers, or especially families anymore. And so I've lived undocumented for like a decade. Um,
Wow.
and so, but during that time, the whole time, like my dad, I mean, Korean Gen Xers and boomers are, especially men, are largely aggressive, are largely violent. Um, uh, we have the Korea has the best technology in the world, but as far as social norms and standards, we're still decades behind.
Yeah.
And I think Korean families and dads are becoming a lot less aggressive now, especially with social media, and nothing is private anymore. If you beat someone too often or even one time, you're going to be online. But um, but in my case, yeah, I've been through a lot of domestic violence throughout high school and throughout my entire childhood, actually. So the safe adults that I had through my lifetime were mostly just teachers, and that really inspired me to become a teacher myself. And especially because I was really good at math from the beginning, especially coming as an immigrant child, and that was the only subject I was good at. That continued to be so throughout my entire life, and I decided to be a math teacher. Um, and but it didn't work out. I ended up being pushed physically by my students in class in 2022, and my bosses didn't do anything about it. The kids who pushed me ended up coming back into class the next day, and there were no consequences given. And then I, left the next day. I got myself a doctor's note saying, "Hey, she is unfit to work at a school in this mental um, capacity. And so I left teaching, and then I got into online teaching and then marketing for a while at startups, and I've been laid off 3 times. And when I started stand up, it was actually after my third layoff. And then I was also going through a breakup because I found out some things about my relationship I didn't want to find out, and it was just really unfortunate. And I got into stand up because I've thought about it for a long time, and I've actually, since I was 20, I've tried to be on stage and give talks and be on panels and stuff, and I've wanted to be a motivational speaker, but like motivational speaking is so pretentious sometimes that I wanted to try stand up because that's another way to persuade people in a different perspective while making them laugh. And so you're more likely to believe somebody and believe a different way of thinking if you feel warmer to them, if you feel like they're your friend, or if you're making them laugh. And so I tried it. My first night, I didn't expect to even go on stage,
Mm-hmm.
but I ended up heckling all the comics, and I didn't know what heckling was. I thought I was being an active participant and being a good audience member, and turns out I wasn't. It was being the exact opposite and heckling everyone. But the host of the show was like, "Hey, you want to get up here?" And I'm like, "Actually, kinda." And he was like, "You got jokes?" And I'm like, "I think so." And I go up there and I do the only 3-minute bit that I've always thought about, and it was like roaring laughter, and I've I haven't stopped since then. So
So is it hard coming over like jokes and stuff like that?
I don't think it would be hard for us. I don't I don't think it would be hard for us at all, Chinwan.
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
we're treated in such a way that is so niche. We're treated differently in a way that we could spin it, like we could make it sound similar to those who are in the norm, who are like able-bodied, but then twist it at the end. Like, for example, my best hitting opener is most women get preyed on prey, but I get preyed on pray. And so the point of that is like, I mean, I still get hit on as a woman, but my being hit on a lot of times looks like being prayed for. And that's happened from men at gyms to me while I'm doing a set, while I'm, actually like doing a chest press or whatever. And it's like, you should have just asked me for my Instagram or something, like, but I mean, but even women, like, I've had a great time at coffee shops. I would be with friends, and strangers, women would come up to me and ask me if my crutches are mine, and I would say yes. And then they would be like, can I pray for you? And I'm like, what part of this looks like I'm struggling or I'm having a bad day, you know? And why wouldn't you pray for that guy over there or that woman over there?
True, true, true. So, are you the only child, or do you have any siblings?
I'm the only child. I just happened to be the first one who came out, and my parents were scared after me to have any other children. But I was a handful already. Not only did I have cerebral palsy, but I was also severely asthmatic at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow when I moved to America, it went away. I didn't
Okay.
have asthma anymore. So air quality in Korea is not great, apparently.
No, it
Um,
isn't. So,
so
have you been back to Korea recently or lately, or?
yeah, so I think you'll be happy to hear that you're still here, Jinwon, and not in Korea, because I went back in the summer of last year,
Okay.
and my aunts have told me and my mom that, oh, things got so much better for the disabled. I'll be the judge of that, right? And so we went over there, and Korea largely has walkable cities and
Yeah.
towns. It's all that is, really. And so I had to be there with a wheelchair. My dad rented a wheelchair for me so that he could push me around and I could get around easier.
Mhm.
And all they've really done is put ramps at curbs. That's really all they've done. That's in fact, I think Korea best serves distracted employees better than the disabled, because at these curbs, at the sidewalks, they have little lights. They have red and green LED lights for when you're on your phone and walking,
Yeah.
so you can see when you can walk while you're working, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so, but I mean, local buses, a lot of them don't even have handles to go up the steps. Like, why? When I went to the local E-Mart, the local grocery store, everything was accessible except the actual grocery part where you get your sustenance is in the basement downstairs, that is only accessible by an escalator. You can't even get there by an elevator. I don't know who made that. I don't know who designed that, but that was basically I don't know, eugenics. I don't know. Like they had a button on the wall by the side that said, if you are disabled, then push this button and someone will come to you. It didn't work. No one told me. The button didn't work. That it didn't light up. It didn't make a sound. It didn't do anything.
Really?
And so
Wow.
to flag someone, and and then they had to get us to the grocery part, to the basement, through the inventory elevator in the back.
Oh God.
It was a whole thing, and my mom admitted herself. She was like, "There's still so much. There's so far along to go." But the most enraging part was how I was treated in Korea, in the sense that, like, as soon as I landed at Incheon Airport, and the Korean airport, I was. They didn't look me in the eye. They didn't speak directly to me.
Really?
They only spoke to my mom or whoever was pushing me in a wheelchair.
Really?
Whoever was accompanying me, to so much so that the flight attendant or the airport employee, whatever, asked for my passport, asked my mom for my passport, and I understood what he said, and I responded, I have it, and I gave it to him. And then he still proceeded to look at it, close it, give it back to her without looking at me at all. And then later on, I couldn't even order my own food with my parents out. They, again, looked at my dad or my mom, asked what I wanted to eat. I said what I wanted to eat, still didn't look at me. And my dad caught on this really quickly, and he was very angry by it. And so he was like, you know what, try speaking in full speed English and see how that does. And the way that I transcended social class, ability, and educational level when I did that at Olive Young, at a skincare store, is incredible. All I did was ask, where can I find collagen eye masks? And all of a sudden, the way that they looked at me, the way that they talked to me was completely different. And so it's incredible how classist that Korea can be, how white adjacent they love to be, how much they bow down to Western culture, and especially American traditions or whatever. I don't know. It's insane. I shouldn't have to, even though I can still speak fluent Korean, I shouldn't have to speak English for me to be treated with respect. And that's all I could say. And that pissed me off more than not being able to access the grocery store in the basement.
Well, I'm sorry that you had that experience in Korea by those people, but me for first time when I went to Korea, because I used to go to Korea every single year
Mm-hmm.
before the pandemic happened,
Mm-hmm.
and man, I had a whole different experience. you
Mm.
because I went to Korea by myself
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
because because I could walk and stuff like that,
Okay.
and they treated me so nice for some reason.
I think the visual cue of being in a wheelchair is also different.
Maybe that's
Um, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I haven't been in Korea enough to quite understand our differences in
mhm.
treatment. Um, yeah.
But yeah, but I know what you're talking about. I went into a rough. I went into one of the restaurants there. They treated me horrible,
Mm-hmm.
and I told them that I'm waiting for my cousin to come and meet me to eat dinner,
Yeah.
and they still didn't look at me. And all of a sudden, my cousin walked in, and then they started to treat us better and get
Yeah.
at the table. And once they knew I speak English,
Mm-hmm.
their demeanor changed.
Exactly. I mean, exactly what I'm saying, though, for sure.
Yeah, so
I think speaking in English tells them subconsciously that we have money,
yeah,
that we've been educated in America, which is a whole glamorous idea over there, even
yeah,
though our education system here's
it sucks.
not great, you
No.
know. Um, but there's this. I mean, like Korean K dramas glamorize it, right?
Mhm.
Oh, my daughter, she studies in America,
Yeah,
and it's like it's a whole trope, and I don't know. It's
yeah, it's man.
part of it. It's funny because I went to Everland, one of the amusement parks
Oh, okay, yeah,
built by I forget what, Samsung, I think. And it was funny because I was on like a safari ride or whatever. Like you get on a bus to look at
yeah,
giraffes and whatnot. And the tour guide comes pretty much next to my face to feed a leaf to a giraffe, and there's all these children. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know what you're doing. I'm older than you, my dude. Like, do this for the kids. I don't need to do. This is not my make a wish. I'm all right. It's like.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I had the same experience. I, I totally know what you're talking about. What about your aunts and uncles and your cousins? Do they treat you like a regular people, or do they actually?
I don't know. I would say yes.
Okay,
But they knew that I was capable since I was a kid. Not, I don't know
yeah,
about capable, but they knew I was at least mentally capable or
mhm,
like or cognitive,
okay,
cognizant. And and they talked to me normal. They talked to me
mhm,
like I was just one of them. And
yeah,
the only person who didn't was my baby cousin, who I left to Korea when he was like 2 or 3 years old.
okay,
So like he didn't really even know who I was. But that's a stranger issue, not a disabled issue.
yeah,
Um, but I remember when I was like 19, I became a resident advisor for one of the dorms here at
okay,
University of Houston. And when my mom told my aunts about that news, they were shocked because they didn't even know that I could shower myself at that point, much
oh,
less,
wow,
take care of other people.
yeah,
So, and I had no idea that's how they saw me.
man,
So
that's
honestly, I'm sure there's like zigzags to it. There's bits and pieces, and I don't know what their full idea is to this day in their head, even though they've seen me in Korea. Um, but the way that Korea is structured, there is no other way than to come
yeah,
off or look more disabled than you are, because Korean culture is, it's a lot better now, especially. But even just like residential bathrooms, the whole bathroom is a shower. Like the whole bathroom is wet
yeah,
because
yes, it is. and I don't like that.
No, there's a curb to get into the bathroom, and you have to step down to go into the bathroom.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so I'm slipping, and that's actually I fell one time when I was a small child because of that. And I had to go to the ER because I cracked my skull in the bathroom because I slipped, and so just like the way that the culture is built and the structure and the traditions, it's not built for us,
It really isn't. And so, how does your parents feel now about you being a comedian or trying to be a comedian?
My parents don't know. My mom does not know at all. I think my dad figured it out because I saw a message that said, yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck. I know that's not good.
No, it isn't.
I know my dad's waiting with his arms crossed for me to respond. I know he's not going to respond until I respond. So that's cool.
Yeah.
My mom is very not online. She's on YouTube, but she's in her own world in the Korean algorithm. And I've told her about a couple shows that I've done, but I've only told her about like benefit shows I've done. Like I've told her about I did a show for a woman's shelter, or like a suicide awareness benefit, or like breast cancer benefit. But like she doesn't know I'm doing this regularly, because the first time I told her I did it, which was like the first night I did that, after the first night, she was like, don't do it again. Like comedians ruin their lives telling jokes because people didn't like what they said. And that's the whole point, right? To push boundaries, to change outlooks and perspectives.
Yeah.
But my mom is if you think of all the Korean values, all of the Korean propaganda, my mom is like the center point, the storage, the human storage for all of that. My mom is very like docile, keep your head down, do not bring attention to yourself. Korea is the best country. I remember I was watching a Korean show with her. She was watching this show where they were dealing with like problem children in Korea.
Oh,
There was this like 13-year-old girl who was just like chatting up with male strangers, and like attempting to go to their house and stuff. And my mom was like, this is embarrassing for her. Like her future husband would be so embarrassed to see this. I'm like, Mom, there's pedophiles. That's not the problem right now. They're advertising that a teenage girl is willing to go to a strange man's house. That's the problem. And my mom was like, your brain is too westernized. You're thinking about it weird or too Americanized. There's no pedophiles in Korea. I'm like, okay. Like we had a whole argument, and I was trying to I'm like, there are pedophiles everywhere, Mom.
Yes, there is.
And she was like, you're upsetting me right now. I have diabetes and high blood pressure. Are you trying to make me die? There are no pedophiles in Korea. Like there might be pedophiles here in America, but not in Korea. I'm like, all right, dude, that's fine. All right. Yes, the problem is that she will not be able to get married very easily later. Yes.
Yeah.
Come
on, Mom.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. My mom has believed everything that she's ever been told about male and woman and marijuana. One time I tried to show her. I went to a convention called the Abilities Expo here in Houston, and it's basically a convention for disabled people so they could find out the newest and greatest things about accessibility tech.
Yep.
And one of the tables was a medical marijuana table, in which it had two things that I had. It says cerebral palsy on the poster and PTSD. And I showed her, I was like, see, it's not bad. And they gave me like a tote bag of flyers and coupon and vouchers, whatever. And my mom just like, she was like, "Is this what you brought me here for? You wanted to teach me something? Like this would ruin your life in Korea. You think this is good for you?" And she like, her face was getting red, screaming in the middle of this convention
Really?
center. Yeah. And then she threw away the tote bag in front of their face.
That,
So
that
yeah.
is hardcore.
No, she's completely bought into everything, you know.
Wow, yeah. Man, my mom's the opposite. My mom laid back. They go, you can try everything that you want to try if it's gonna help you with your condition. I'm like, even drugs like marijuana. She's like, yeah, why not?
That's crazy.
If it helps you out, go for it. Do anything you want. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But my dad, on the other hand, is like mom.
Mm-hmm. My dad,
Yeah.
my dad's actually like your mom, but then my dad decided to leave. My dad decided to leave when I was 16, so I guess that doesn't really matter. He's not here. So, but
I'm sorry about that.
it's all right. I'm still, I got, so at the end of the day, that's why I ended up getting my own place, and I'm so lucky to be the level of disabled I am and be able to be like
Yeah.
functional enough to have my own place. And it's given me a lot of confidence and just learning about self-sufficiency. And I really had to at the end of the day, because when your mom is like that and you're living with her, there's no freedom.
Oh yeah.
And there's also no way that you could feel good about yourself. Because part of Korean culture is largely making sure that women feel inferior and making sure that women feel like they're not good enough. Korea is the skincare capital of the world, and that sounds all good. But when you look at all the opposite side of it,
Yeah.
that also means that they're really putting a magnifying glass on the importance of youthful looks in women. Of course, Koreans, they care about skincare whether you're a man or a woman, but you can't deny that it's woman centered.
Yeah.
And my mom was not the skinniest person growing up. She was not fat by any means, but she wasn't Korean skinny. And so she has all of this trauma and just systematic, misogyny and self-hatred because of Korean culture, that she swears it's because Korea cares about you, and all you can do is leave. And I'm so glad that I'm here, living my own life. But I have to say, my mom doesn't know a large part of my life. I just tell her, just trust that I won't ruin my life. Trust that I won't do things that would negatively impact people, and that I will always think about the greater good of myself and others and the community and the world. But I can no longer share my life with you because it always comes back to me in an argument.
And, that must be hard that you can't talk to your parents about your feelings and this kind of stuff.
It is, but I always kind of think of it now as a product of what their upbringing was and what they've dealt with in their childhood and their parents, And so, otherwise, if I don't do that, all I can do is get angry. So,
I mean, we both have Korean parents,
we do.
and we know how Korean parents are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how does your mom feel about you living on your own? Does she like it?
No. I mean, like, every once in a while, my mom was like, "So do you ever think about moving back in?" And I'm like, "I'm sure I will eventually, just because you're getting older, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't do this forever." But no, I don't. I'm doing great. I love living by myself,
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's so much harder. Like, you know, having a day job and doing stand up and keeping yourself alive and making sure your apartment's not a complete mess. I have clean laundry in a trash bag in the floor still from like last week, you know, like it's like, but you know, at the end of the day, my apartment isn't a complete mess and I am sustaining myself. I'm aware of how to keep myself healthy. And um one thing that I do struggle with is trying to be able-bodied in the sense that like I think that I have more energy than I do, or at least I'll try to push for it. But by default, what cerebral palsy is, it takes more energy. It our bodies work more because we're always tense.
Yes.
And it's something that we don't think about. It's not active in our brains, but our body is still doing it. And it is doing it whether we know it or not. And so I was actually kind of dealing with this last night where I was like, I should go to open mics. I should be testing these jokes. I have a show tomorrow. I should be doing this. I should get myself out. But I just needed to rest. I needed to sleep. I needed to, have a healthy meal and go to bed. And that's what my body felt. But I couldn't help but feel like I'm a failure for, oh, if I love this enough, I should be going out and I should still da 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 da,
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest struggle that I have is still coming into terms with my disabled body. And especially at 30 now, like I'm starting to feel the difference of like just getting tired,
Man, try to get to my age.
Well, we're going to be okay. I'm going to be okay.
You will be okay, but you're going to be a lot more tired.
Yeah.
So,
Which reminds me, I should take my vitamins later. But anyway, but things like that. But I'm glad that I have the opportunities that I do, and again, I know that not all. I rarely say unless they deserve it and they're being a dick. I don't really say if I can do it, you can, because I don't know you.
yeah.
I don't know your ability, and sometimes you just can't, and that's fine. We have to find different ways to do things, or our lifestyles have to be different, and that's just something that we have to deal with. And with that, like I always count my blessings. I never take any day that I get to live independently for granted. I don't take any comedy show that I'm asked to be on for granted. Like I've the biggest thing that has changed my life is practicing gratitude every single day. And that's helped a lot with keeping my perseverance up, I guess.
One last question. Have you always lived in Houston, Texas from childhood?
Basically, yeah. I've been around the United States, but I've always lived here. And part of it's because there's a large Korean community, so I could still be intact with my culture. I could still get Korean food whenever I want. And two, it's cheaper to live here. I'm not a country girl. Okay, I'm never gonna act like I want to be an outdoors girl so bad. I want to enjoy camping, but at the end of the day, I don't need to walk a block for me to go piss. I don't want to do that. I love the city, and it's a relatively affordable city, and it's a relatively accessible city. So
Yeah, but I got family in Houston, Texas also. I lived there for about 8 months before we came to California.
mm-hmm.
But my cousins have like this southern accent when they talk.
Right.
But when I hear you talk, you don't have the Texas accent.
Yeah, it's because I'm from Houston, because I've been in the city. I still have when I talk to when I talk to New Englanders, when I talk to people from Jersey and stuff like that, they're like, you have such a charming accent. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
My syllables are still a little bit elongated, but yeah, I mean, I don't have the classic Texan accent because
yeah.
I'm not from the countryside. So
Well, it was great talking to you about your life, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share share that with me. So thank you so much.
yeah, and I will definitely have reasons to come to California for shows. So I would love to meet you in person.
Okay, that's the deal.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Iman.
You too. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. You have a great day.
Bye.